Greetings, everyone, and welcome to another Public Health Roundtable Live. I'm your host, Dr. Charlotte Huntley, and I'm joined by an incredible panel of public health professionals. We're going to share basically our wins and lessons learned from 2024. This is a time when a lot of us are reflecting over just various things that worked, what didn't work, what are we doing to wrap up this year and preparing for the new year. So this is how we're going to share in our topic today. So if you're joining us live or even in the replay, we encourage you to chime in the chats. This is a discussion that we want to continue beyond just the few moments that we have here. We're going to go around and just introduce ourselves. And I'll continue to tell you a little bit more about what we do. So again, my name is Dr. Charlotte Huntley. I'm the host of Public Health Epidemiology Conversations podcast and Public Health Entrepreneurs podcast. I am a public health consultant, entrepreneur, and through my consulting organization, we support large nonprofit organizations that serve BIPOC communities, so Black, Indigenous, people of color. And we focus on helping them to communicate their health information in plain language to the communities they serve and sometimes their internal departments, if they're large organizations. And this is something that is sometimes a bit of a challenge, especially when we're talking about complicated scientific information. But it's also something that's super important because without relatable information, if we don't understand what we're receiving and reading, then how can we make informed decisions? So it's something we're very passionate about. I'm going to pass the mic over to Dr. Joy Washington. Please introduce yourself.
Welcome, everyone. So glad to be here. My name is Dr. Joy Washington. I go by Dr. Joy. I am a community engaged research consultant. And I'm also CEO of Joy Washington Consulting, LLC. And so what I do in my business is I work with organizations, nonprofit, government, such as health departments, public health organizations to help them successfully implement their community engagement strategies for both research and practice. And really our mission is to focus on how do we revolutionize public health research into those life-changing public health solutions. The thing that, and as we're talking about, wins and lessons, right? One of the things that I'm really proud of that I do through my business is bringing a different perspective to public health. And you can see I have my Public Health is My Joy shirt on. And so that's what we do. We do more than public health. We bring joy to public health. That is our end goal, where we really want to focus on bringing that joy to our communities through research, through the data, and being able to, research has been harmful in the past. And so how do we transform that trauma and that hurt and that pain into joy? And how do we really engage our communities in this process? I am also the host of the Public Health Joy podcast, where we have a safe space for these conversations around community engaged research, public health, and all the things. So that's a little bit about me.
Wonderful introduction. Thank you. Pass it over to LaShonda Richardson. Please introduce yourself.
Good afternoon and welcome everyone. My name is LaShonda Richardson. I am the founder and CEO of Emerge Public Health and Community Development, where our mission is to educate, to motivate, empower, restore, grow, and to evolve. I am a public health consultant that also works with communities, with nonprofit organizations, with faith-based organizations, providing public health education, a resource allocation, and just working with these organizations and businesses to provide health education. So one thing that we've done this year is really worked with these organizations to talk about the health topics. Our main goal, or one of our populations that we work with, is African American population and communities of color. And we have went into public health, and we've pulled these health disparities that really affect these areas. And we've talked with people in the community, people in churches, and we've educated them on things such as diabetes awareness and breast cancer awareness, sickle cell, things that affect that population. So just working in public health education, making sure that they have the resources that they need to be able to make informed decisions about their health and wellness. Planning community events is another thing that we do within Emerge. And so we plan these events, we get the people involved, and we try to do it in unconventional ways. So having things like music and other arts and things like that to give the people what they want while providing them what they need. I'm super excited to be here to join in on this conversation today.
Oh, thank you for that wonderful introduction. And last but not least, Ericka Horne, please introduce yourself.
Hello, everyone, and welcome. I am Ericka Horne. It is certainly an honor to be here on today. I am the CEO and founder of Akiri Consulting, and I get the opportunity to work alongside mostly faith-based organizations, nonprofits, mentoring organizations for youth in the community, and be able to help them with program planning for health-related events, help them and provide health education, also provide education around living healthy by the Bible and involving and starting those conversations, especially amongst different churches that I get to work with. I am super excited because this year we were really fortunate to be able to work alongside some churches and plan health fairs. We were able to work with the youth mentoring organization and help plan a health fair for their organization, for the young ladies, specifically around breast cancer awareness and women's health issues. So whatever the need may be for the community, whatever the organization is wanting to highlight when it comes to health related information, we're here to provide that health education. We're here to plan the event from beginning to end, host it, speak about the topics because we're passionate about them. And we're able to just be involved in the community and being that safe space to have conversations that typically are not held in those spaces. So being able to provide health education, being able to provide and bring in providers to those spaces where people are sometimes afraid to go to the doctor or they're afraid to have conversations is really a goal and a vision and one of the missions behind the business. And we're super excited to continue to do that as we move forward into next year. So excited for this conversation today with everyone and to kind of learn from everybody else about, lessons learned and all of our different wins.
Oh, thank you so much. This is great. And I know you all so well, but I get so excited to hear your introductions. It's like I'm meeting you again. We're just sharing wins and lessons learned across the year. And it could be either or what rises up for you. And we could probably take this conversation and go on and on and on because a lot has happened in 2024. Oh my goodness, so much has happened. So I'll start myself, and I was trying to think like, what do I really like? What's surfacing up? I've probably been on the full spectrum of things that could happen from then the most unspeakable tragedy that a lot of you has supported me through to some really big wins in business growth in my team, just a lot of and all the stuff in between. But one of the things that kind of celebrates a win and also lessons learned going into 2025 for us is, I mentioned that we focus on BIPOC organizations or BIPOC serving organizations. So we partner with a lot of tribal organizations. And one of our largest tribal organizations that we work with for a few years now, we almost serve as a bit of an epidemiology department for them. We have such a relationship. I absolutely adore leadership. I am so on board with their mission that they could ask me almost anything and I'd say, oh yes, we'll do this. We'll help you. That's just how I feel about this client. And we've worked together for a while and we worked on a project, about a year-long project that has the weight of a community needs assessment for a community. If you imagine a state level community needs assessment and all of the counties that are going to feed from that and need that report. Well, we have been working on the equivalent of that for the tribal organizations for probably a larger than normal size state. So it's a really weighty project over about a year. And we've come to some we've hit some real milestones, major milestones as we wrap up this year, which I celebrate. But in the process, what I've learned is this real art, like taking the art of listening to a whole new level. And we talk about this a lot. It's this communication style. We learn so much when we pause and listen. Like I made a comment listening to your introductions. I really meant that. Like I hear something a little different each time. And I learned this from working with my client. I learned specifically with the tribal organizations, and this is true also in the Black community. We learn a lot about our heritage through storytelling. If you want to know about, you don't go to the history books necessarily to learn about your culture, you sit down with Big Mama or some aunties, or, you know, you listen to the older folks tell the stories and really listen to their stories. You may have heard them, you know, when you were a teenager and then young adult, but then you listen to them in your 30s and 40s and you hear something different than you did back then, right? So with these clients, my tribal clients specifically, this large client, I remember going through a phase, a cycle, where I was on a panel with them, and I would hear them tell a story and explain the same concept over and over. And then it's almost like magically I was learning something new every single time I heard them tell the story. And I heard them introduce this concept and explain it. And I expressed that. And then I also learned that that's almost why they like to repeat the stories, is because you will hear something different each time. And that's how we share and we pass along the message. And I just embrace that, because I think that as an organization that's focused on BIPOC communities, and pause right there, also insert the time that we're in. You know, in the United States, we've got a lot of questions. There's a lot of concern for BIPOC communities going into the new administration and the new year. And I think that for us, for my organization, we're going to take that power of storytelling that's been refreshed in my mind and my heart, and we're going to amplify that. And I think and we're going to share that almost as in a similar way to LaShonda described, this non-traditional way. We need to really surface that back up as a priority and normalize it, the storytelling and holding space for this. So that's something that I know that we're embracing that. I can't tell you exactly what it's going to look like, but I know that that's a high priority. And for the communities that we serve, it will be well received. So that's just a bit of a win and also lesson learned. One of them of many, but I'm going to stop now because I know you all have a lot too. So in the same order that we introduced, I'm going to pass over to Dr. Joyee. I'd love for you to share your thoughts on this.
Yeah, absolutely. I will say I was actually thinking about what I wanted to say today, and I actually keep a running list of like things I've accomplished, lessons that I've learned. And at the beginning of the year, my word for the year was exponential growth. And Dr. Huntley gave me my exponential growth sign, right? And it's been on my desk. And when I first said that at the beginning of the year, I didn't know what was to come, right? And at the beginning of the year in January, I quit all of my jobs, right? I stepped out on faith and I was like, I'm gonna believe fully in my business and I'm gonna quit all my part-time jobs. And now I'm at the end of the year and I have taken an even bigger step of faith. And I have decided, of course, with the election and all of these different things happening, and like you mentioned already before, our communities are at risk with everything that's happening. And so it's like, what are we going to do about it? And so now I've taken an even bigger step of faith of thinking about how are we going to support one another. And so what came to me was, we need a space and we need a place. We need to have a summit for public health consultants and entrepreneurs. That was not in the plan. Nowhere, no how up in 2024. Okay, that was not part of my plan. But there was a need, right? And that need had to be fulfilled. And so we're going to do this summit. We're going to do this thing and we're going to do it together. And as we go into 2025, it's like, how do we brace? Like, how do we brace for the impact? And if you know anything about bracing for impact, you can't brace that impact by yourself. We have to brace that impact together. I don't know if y'all remember in school, Red Rover, the more you hold on tighter, it's hard to break, right? So in essence, I think my win this year has been a lot, but it's really been, I didn't know that this year was going to be an exponential growth in my faith. And faith in a lot of different ways, and a lot of faith in God, my relationship with God, faith in believing in my business, right? Faith in believing in my community, all of that. And so the lesson that I have learned is, we have to support one another, and we have the space to be creative. We have the space to be innovative. And even in the losses, even though I know a lot of people were upset, a lot of people are still upset, right, about the outcome of the election. But for me, even in those times, that is where our joy comes into play, right? Our joy never leaves us because it's not circumstantial, it's eternal. Like, this is what joy is. This is why we have to figure out how is joy implanted in every area of our lives. And that's what's going to carry us through, because that joy is what's going to lead us to action. It's going to lead us to stand together in times like these, and it's going to lead us to get to the place where we want to be. If you want to know more about the summit, please go to joywashington.com/summit. It will be held January 14th and 15th of 2025.
Love that so much. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. And thank you for sharing about the summit as well. So much was resonating with me and what you're saying. And I think this is what we need. A lot of people do feel a little lost, like not really sure what to do, defeated, exhausted. I get it. I'm not trying to invalidate anybody's feelings, but I love what you said, coming together, that collaboration, that support. We are stronger together in being that light and absolutely finding the joy in what we do. And that's part of our resiliency, Okay, LaShonda, we're passing it over to you.
Yes. So, Dr. Joy, I love what you said so much. And when I was thinking, I also thought about my word for the year when I was thinking about what I was going to say, what I was going to talk about. And my word was consistency. So, this year, I've been able to do that. So, that is one of my wins, that I've been able to remain consistent. And within that consistency, I've gotten some opportunities. Like this year, I was able to speak at the North Carolina APHA conference as a community health worker. I got certified as a community health worker this year. So just remaining consistent in doing those things has made opportunities. I even had this year, I work with faith-based organizations, but this year I was able to even work with my church even more. And the feedback and the testimonies from just sharing the education part. We had a member that had triple negative breast cancer, and she shared her story. And I came along beside her and told about the outcomes, like the testing, what you're supposed to do, and giving the church information, and just the feedback and the appreciation for information being shared in those spaces. And even this year with events, like I've had a couple of events this year. Last year I had a breast cancer awareness event, and this year it just wasn't like working like it did last year, to be completely honest. Like the building was that I used was getting renovations, and the bus was booked. I guess everyone found out about the bus, even maybe through my event, I don't know, but through like posting and everything. So I wasn't going to do it. And the speaker came to me and she said, I think that you should still do this because it is a needed conversation within our community. And she introduced me to another business owner that I was able to connect with. And she said, I have a small space, but if you want to have something here, you can do it here. And so I wound up doing it. And I was so glad I did, because what that taught me is that even though things may not go the way you planned, being consistent and creating a space for people to be able to come and to be able to share, like the energy in that room, even though it wasn't, what I thought it should look like. People were so blessed by the testimonies. People were so informed when they left. They had connections, they had resources when they left. So I learned this year that even though it may not look like how I planned, to not give up, to not, do something, because people are counting on that information. People need that connection. They need that space. And another thing, we were talking, Dr. Joy was talking about faith. It made me think about one day I was in the gym and I was on the treadmill. And, as I was going on the treadmill, there were people there that were before me. And, they got off the treadmill when they got done. And then there were people that came after me, and they either were there when I left, or, they were, they were either finished before me or there when I left. But the revelation I got with that also is to run my own race. Like there will be people before me, there will be people that come behind me. But if I remain consistent, if I remain faithful in what I'm called to do, then I'm going to get to my goal in doing that. So those are some of the things that happened this year that I'm so proud of myself in the race that I'm running and the things that I'm doing because I'm making traction, I'm making buzz. People are already starting to ask, about speaking engagements and planning community events for next year, to bring to their businesses and organizations and church functions. So I'm super proud of myself for the consistency, for the posting, for the not giving up, for the, knowing that my race is my race and doing that, and the spaces that I've been able to create for businesses and organizations and communities to have the conversations, to share the resources, to give them the resources and the providers or whatever they need to make those decisions, and to teach them about nutrition, just anything to make them make better health decisions. So I'm super excited about next year, and I'm super proud of the things I've been able to accomplish this year.
Oh, wow. Thank you for that. I love all of that too. And as I was listening to you, when you said, run your race, we all have our own unique superpower, calling, gift, right? We know what that is. And we have to remember that it's for the people we serve. It's not for us. So if we hold back, or if we, especially as business owners, as entrepreneurs, it can be very scary to step out and to go, to keep doing all these, but it's really for someone else. So we are serving someone else, however we're designed to do it, not like the person to our right or left, but how we're designed and how we're equipped to do it. So continuing to, like run our race, like you said, I like that. And to keep moving forward with how we're called to lead and guide and to serve. Love that. Ericka, let's hear from you.
Wow, this has been so good so far. I'm learning so much from everyone. I too, when I was thinking about what I was going to share, I thought about my word of the year. My word of the year this year was intentional. And being intentional took a different stance for me this year, personally, professionally, academically. And so I'm also currently a doctor of public health candidate. So I'll be having my doctorate soon. And so I had to be really strategic about the things that I actually was able to do with my business, because I do still work full time as well. I have not been able to take that leap of faith just yet as Dr. Joy. But even in that, it was just understanding about being intentional about what I did do. And so I had to be intentional about my business offerings. I had to be intentional about how I niched down, and also being intentional about what I actually accepted. So prior to this year, I had a lot of opportunities. And I still receive them, but I had to learn the art of saying no, and that being intentional, and realizing that saying no to somebody else was saying yes to me. And it allowed me to achieve those personal and professional goals that I know I needed to attain for myself, that can also help propel my business. So I also received I got certified as a community health worker this year, which also will open my business up for more offerings and to be able to train others. I also, in the beginning of this year, I've been through a process, but I was ordained as, I was licensed as a minister in the beginning of this year. So that in and of itself was just a process as well. And so really being able to sit back this year and propel my research forward as well for school, because I knew what my end goal was of what I need to obtain and where I want to see my business grow to. I've been able to sit down and look at all the things I was doing prior to this year. And when things were presented like, hey, we know you can talk about this, we know you can help us with this, sometimes I had to say no. And that was one of the hardest things, because I was so used to always saying yes. And the things I was able to say yes to were the things that I honestly believe were the things I was called to do, and they made the most impact for the communities that I served. I was able to do more for my community because I said yes to my community and I said no to every other thing. So I just wanted to share that, as much as I I can be a Jill of all trades. There's a lot of people say like Ericka does this, she does that, very creative in the arts and science. She's a speaker. But I really had to be intentional this year about being able to serve my community. So being able to work with the nonprofits, being able to curate the entire health fair event around women's health for this organization, bringing in additional speakers to talk about women's health issues that they were not familiar with, bringing in people that can help with activities and painting for the young ladies. They're able to do something fun and songs and physical fitness and putting together full events from top to bottom, as opposed to just being on the program, is really what my business does. And I was able to see that come into fruition even more this year, not just in theory, but in actual practice. And also being in a space now where I have calls set up for upcoming events for next year that I'm helping to plan, or I'm going to be a part of speaking as a part of my business. And so being able to do that, I really believe positioned me where I am today. And so I learned the art of no in being intentional. And I'm grateful for all the many wins this year related to all of that. And also just that lesson of being able to say no. And it's okay. I used to have a quote that used to sit on my desk, and it said, never let an opportunity pass you by. And I realized I had to put a modification on that, because I always went after everything, because that's just who I was. I knew I could do it. And so what I modified it to do was, as long as it aligns with the vision. And so, yes, never let an opportunity pass you by, as long as it aligns with your vision, because there are always going to be plenty of opportunities, and you might miss out on the one that's most impactful for you if you're just continually saying yes to everything and not the things that align with you. And so those are some of my wins and lessons from 2024. Really excited for what 2025 is going to bring.
Wow, that was great. Thank you. Thank you all. Like, I'm listening to you all share your word of the year, and now I'm getting a new win, because, I kind of sparked this, this time last year, and for me, I do it every year, and it helps with that focus. And my coach encourages that as well. So I think having that word of the year, for me, it helps me decide when to say yes and no. It helps me stay focused. And when things get all sorts of crazy, it helps kind of bring it in. My word of the year was vulnerable. So I started out with that because I know that that's an important part of bonding, creating, building trust. And I wanted that with the clients I serve. It's really important. Again, with BIPOC communities, you just have to, it's genuine approach. So it's not that it was difficult for me, but being vulnerable also was about letting you see what my scar looks like, sharing that story. So I had no idea, even with my personal tragedy, like end of the summer, that word was going to be resonating with me. But it was important. Like when the bottom fell out, I just kind of showed you guys, this is who I am. This is what we're dealing with. And even with my clients at the time, it was like, I love that I had something to work toward, like something to, that I had to get up and keep moving toward. But my clients were so wonderful, so, understanding, so supportive. So that really fostered relationships. So it helped me throughout the year with, okay, I know that this is important in order to really build the trust and to not appear as though, of course, we put on our best, and I'll make up my face a little bit and try to look cute in front of the camera. But I don't want you to think that my life is always just this imperfect, no blemishes, and we're always holding hands and singing and happy. That's not reality. So it's not like I want to show you all the ugly parts, but just being real and relatable with people. And that's been helping me throughout the year as well. I love that all of you shared your word of the year. I thought that was great. This has been a lot of great lessons learned. I hope that as you're listening and those who are watching this are thinking, and please do share your lessons learned, your wins for the year. But just listening to each of you, there's some real overlapping themes I'm pulling out from each of you. That reminder of joy, I think, is joy in public health, especially, is so important right now. And I think like we all need to incorporate that, embrace that as we decide what we're doing in 2025, if you haven't even gotten that far yet, into planning. But I'm just going to go back one more time around and let you all share any final thoughts or takeaways, as we could keep talking all day. I know it'd be easy for us to do and have plenty to share. But just for the sake of time, for those that are watching us and listening to this, we'll go back to you, Dr. Joy, for any final thoughts or takeaways.
I'm going to add on to Ericka's statement, right? So Ericka, you said never, I got to read it because I had to write it down. Never let an opportunity pass you by as long as it aligns with the vision, right? So as you were talking and thinking about my experiences, I'm kind of like, you also have to step into the unexpected because your opportunity lies in the unexpected. So a lot of times we get so distracted by things that we didn't plan for, right? Not realizing that our opportunity is in that unexpected thing. So just like the election, just like we don't know what's going to happen in 2025, baby, your opportunity is in the unexpected, right? So if you haven't started the business, baby, start the business as long as it aligns with the vision, right? If you already got the business and you need to grow the business in the way that aligns with the vision, right? Whether it's school, whatever. In public health, serving your community, a lot of times unexpected things happen. Go with the unexpected, go with the flow if it aligns with the vision, because your opportunity might be in that thing. So I'm gonna wrap up and just say, we're gonna help you deal with the unexpected. Come to the summit. We're gonna figure it out together. and we're gonna make it happen. We're gonna brace for 2025 together.
Love that. Thank you so much. LaShonda.
Yes, I've enjoyed this so much. And I think if I had one takeaway, I kind of, with what Dr. Joy was saying, I would say take the risk and start. There's been so many people that have come and said, I want to be a consultant. I want to, whatever. What do I do? How do I get on board? And it's just taking the risk to start. Like when I started, I'm still learning a whole lot, but just as I go, like I am learning more. I am connecting with other people. I am networking. Networking is is a big thing, but taking the risk and starting and not quitting. And like I said before, it may not look exactly how you planned all the time, but as long as you stay consistent and as long as you are doing what you are called to do and are leaning into the vision that you have set for yourself and the goals that you have set for yourself, it's going to work out. It'll work out and it will work. So I just say take the risk, start, don't quit, and yeah, and just don't quit. Don't quit, don't give up. That's what I'll say for that. And I'm looking forward to 2025 as well and looking to planning more events and networking with more churches and businesses and organizations and providing more education and more resources for the communities and businesses that I serve.
Wonderful. Wonderful. I'm loving this so much. Okay, over to you, Ericka.
So this was really, really good today. I think for me, one of the key things, on top of what has already been stated, I want to go back to one of the first things that you said, Dr. Huntley, when you talked about storytelling and how when you re-listen to something, we get we learn something new each time and a new revelation. And so I think for me, even in this year, as we're reflecting now, as many entrepreneurs, consultants, individuals in their personal lives may still be reflecting on how did this year go for them, what they may have been dealing with, the different wins they saw, they experienced. It's just taking the time to sit in what that was and see what new things come from it. Because we learn a lesson in the current moment, in the season that we're in, and we reflect in that moment. But months later, has anything else come from it? Have we learned something new from it? And sometimes you don't see a different result until months later and you're beginning to understand that's why that happened 2, 3 months ago. That's why that had to happen that way. Like it's very uncertain times. We don't know why the results may have been the way. We don't know what's going to happen in the next as we're embracing for the future and preparing for what's next. We don't know why, but take the moment to reflect on the things that were positive in this past time, in this past year. And then 3 months from now, we'll be able to see that's why this had to happen this way. So even though we may not be sure of what's happening, be encouraged. Yes, take risks, embrace for the future, but also reflect and understand that it's okay to not know what's happening and just know that in a couple of months from now, it will all work out and it'll all make sense as to why things happened the way they did. So that's another one of the lessons that I'll take with me as we go into 25.
Yes. Every time we do this, every month, I think that was my favorite roundtable. Now I'm sitting going, this is my favorite roundtable discussion. It gets better and better. I think, as we, kind of tied this all up with a bow, I do sit at a slightly different angle. So I've had the privilege of watching each of you grow and lead over the full year. So I remember when you first let me know what your word of the year was, and now we're coming full circle and hearing you talk about that. It is incredible. Like last year, this time when Dr. Joy, you're saying, I just know I'm preparing for exponential growth. I remember you saying that. I'm not even sure where I'm going, what this means, but I'm preparing for it. You set a really big goal. And I remember when you hit that goal way before we got to the end of the year, and just watching all of you take those steps, encouraging you in the moments we're feeling like, okay, I'm not sure about this thing. And then just continuing on, because it's for the people we serve. It's for the communities that we serve. We're designed and we have this calling because of how we feel a need and how we can meet the need very uniquely as business owners. And so thank you all for sharing so generously. And thank you all for watching the replay, for being with us live, for listening to this on the podcast, and incorporate what it means for you. I'm sure there's a dozen or so takeaways that you could have from this that we haven't touched on, but take away what you need from the conversation today and let that fuel you moving forward. Like my panelists have said, we don't know what tomorrow holds. We don't always know. We don't, as much as, I'm like, I love a good plan. I will map it all out there, but we have to pack a lot of flexibility because we just don't know exactly how it's going to come together. So with that in mind, we're going to wrap it up, and we encourage you to join us again next month. Beginning of every month, the first Wednesday of every month, we host the Roundtable live discussions. Different topic, similar group of folks. We kind of shift around a few different people here and there, but thank you all for being here, and we hope to see you again on the next Roundtable Live.